Let's get it started in here.
This is awesome.
No, that's Black Eyed Peas. But this is mostly all figured out with your host, still desperate for a jingle, Emily Louie. We have our third guest on the podcast today, and finally, we've got some strong female energy in the room.
Yes.
Actually, we have 3 strong females in this room today, which is even better than I thought it was going to be. My guest today is one of my manifestations. I say this because she came into my life when I was really needing to be in a relationship with motivated, spiritual, entrepreneurial women who were also moms. We met as volunteers at Buffalo's chapter of Creative Mornings, which is a global creative community, but fell in love at the organization's summit camp in Iroquois Springs in upstate New York the summer of 2018.
Oh my God, so long ago.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
She is a mom of 2, Nyla and Callie, and a stepmom of 3?
2.
2. Okay, 2. She is the founder and curator of a spiritual women empowering community. She's an author, an app designer, a social media expert, an event planner, and so much more. But my most favorite role of hers is as my sweet friend. Welcome, Ciara Rayshall.
I needed to hear all of that this morning.
Well, if you need to be reminded of who you are. Okay?
Sometimes. We all do.
Listen. And do you know what? Hold on one second. Because this chair.
I told you it's so
Holy
squeaky.
cow. Pause. And we're back. You didn't have to hear it. That was only a second for you, but for us, it was a life-changing situation because no one wanted to hear that squeak for that long. But welcome, Ciara.
Thank you for having me.
I am so happy you're here. Obviously, when I first thought about doing this podcast and was considering who I would have on, you were absolutely one of the first people that came to my mind immediately.
Well, I'm so appreciative and grateful for that.
Well, I'm very grateful for you. I've always been grateful for you, and you have been an inspiration and motivator and a spiritual teacher for me, frankly.
Thank you.
For a long time.
Thank you.
And we should also call attention to the fact that there is a tiny little, you may be also hearing some other sound effects
Yes.
in the background.
Callie is in the building.
She sure is. And how old is Callie now?
6 months. She goes by Callie G or California.
Love this. And she is just
Eating mommy's phone.
really enjoying it. It is a 5-star meal right now.
Anything to not allow her to pull on the microphone.
That's right. So first question with our girl, California here, Callie G. Your family dynamics completely changed during the pandemic,
Yes.
right? Which the pandemic in general was a very wild time for all of us. But add on to that you've got now 4 additional people
I know.
in your family,
I know.
which was once a dynamic duo of you and Nyla.
Yes. Like
Just-
ride or die, just us two.
That's
like,
right.
What was that song? Just the two of us by
Yes.
Will Smith. Like,
Yes.
yeah. it was me and
Exactly.
Nyla for a long time.
Yeah.
But it merged very well.
Yeah. Well, that was my first question. And how old is Nyla now?
Nyla is going to be 13 in January.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You have a teenager.
Trust me, I feel the effects of having a teenager. I'm reminded daily, like, bruh, what is happening to my life right now? I didn't think it was going to be this real. When I was a teenager, like, I have such an appreciation for my mother now. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, and you're in this interesting spot too, because not only are you parenting, you're stewarding this 13-year-old into teenagerhood, you also have a 6-month-old at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, my oldest is 7 now, and the younger one is 2. So there's a 5-year gap, and that in itself, I'm like, your needs are so very different. And whenever I'm done with you, then the next one needs time for something else. And that is enough. But to be on very different ends of the spectrum.
It's such a transition, and it's not hard. It's just challenging and different, you know? and it just requires more. Me and Keith were having a conversation, like we have to be so on top of them because they're his daughter is 14 and then his other daughter is turning 12 on Friday, and then Nyla's going to be 13 in January. So they're all, we have all girls, so it's like we have to be on top of them in every aspect, school, work, like making sure they're taking care of their chores, like boys. That's becoming like a thing, and I'm just like, wait, what? No. And then with Callie, she's like so little, she takes up so much of my time. It's challenging me as a woman because I have to show up in a certain way for the older girls, but also show up for Callie. You know, that's like super full-time. Callie is like my full-time job.
Yeah.
And then the girls on top of that. So it's not difficult. It's just very challenging. It's requiring more of myself and reminding me how much I have to put into me as the woman, as Ciara, before I'm mommy or anything. And this morning I literally was like, you know what? I made breakfast for everybody. Like Keith's smoothie was in the fridge, and I made sure they're like getting their fruit and stuff in. Callie, she's eating foods now, so I'm like making food in the baby bullet. And I was like, you know what? I deserve to go and get my hair done.
Yes.
I deserve to not have to do my own hair. Like with everything that I put out, I need to start reminding myself, like,
absolutely,
I deserve all the things of self-care for Ciara.
Absolutely. You know, the irony behind the fact that women, I think, need it the most is when we are in the trenches with small children. Our time is so not ours in any way. And that's when we need to prioritize and schedule the self-care time as much as possible. But it's so hard to do that.
It's so hard. And thankfully, I'm so thankful for Keith every day. I guess maybe being so independent for so long, he's like, oh, you know, look up a salon to go get your hair done. I'm just like, you know, we got to do this and we got to do that. And like literally this morning, I was just like, Google. Ciara, stop being so like humble and go for it. Because it's so many women out here that are just like going for it. Like, you're not a selfish person. Like, you deserve it. So like start prioritizing you time where you're not putting more out. Like, I'm normally doing my own nails, doing my own toes, doing my own hair. And I'm just like, I'm over that.
Yes.
I'm tired. I'm so tired.
I'm over
it. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I know, like, if I pencil those things in where I'm sitting in the salon chair and somebody else is doing my hair, it'll alleviate so much stress. And then I'll have the energy to show up within this transition, you know, for the girls and be more present and talk to them and be, you know, more in depth with them because I'm not so consumed and all over the place. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm in the journey in the trenches right now.
I always find it interesting when I hear or I talk to or I see, maybe actually I need to talk to more women who are spending those additional dollars to do those types of things, because when I see them in real, it's like representation, right? You need to see it in action to be like, oh, it is okay.
Because if we don't see it or if we're not surrounded by it and we don't hear it, that's where the guilt comes in. We're just like, oh, I can't really, you know, I can't do that.
Right.
And why would I, you know, it's like we're sacrificing all the time that it's like so natural. Like, no, I can't because of this and because of that. And it's just like, no, boo, you deserve it.
Exactly. Something else that I've been thinking a lot about lately is we all now have in 2022 the vocabulary to be able to not be, bless them, but our mothers before us, right? Doing all the things, cooking all the meals, folding all the laundry, planning the meals, scheduling the doctor's appointments, going to the school meetings, work, but now also working, you know, we're still, and so I find the majority of women are still doing all those things.
And it's because that was our example.
Right.
And so we're just like, okay, well, in my womanhood, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
That's what I think I'm supposed to do.
It feels natural.
I
right?
was listening to a podcast the other day. I forgot her last name, but her first name is like Allie something. And she's like the the Influencer podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
And she starts saying how she created what her balance was, not balance based off of what everybody else thought balance was. And she was just like, I'm not the type of mom who wants to sit at home and be with my baby all day. I do love my baby, but I don't want to be with my baby all day. I want to go to work. Going to work is balance for me. So I decided 3 days a week, I'll, stay at home. And then the other days of the week, I'll focus on my career, my creativity. And we're going to get a maid. Or she was like, I'm going to get like a babysitter or something, or a nanny. And she was like, that's balance for me. That works. When I heard that, I was just like,
yeah.
I don't want people, my family members, because you know how people, like, they want to babysit the baby and they want to see the baby. And I told Keith, I was just like, listen, I want help that works for me.
Right.
I don't want help based off of my mom's schedule or my aunt's schedule, because that's not necessarily really helping me.
Right.
And I want to be honest about the fact that I do need help in a certain area instead of trying to do everything, because that was my example. I see my mom do everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Same. Never ask for help, and it's just like, I don't want to live that life.
Right.
I really don't, because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you there. I look at my mom, who had 9 children.
Your mom had 9 children?
9 children.
Whoa.
Okay, I'm the oldest. And was stay at home for almost my entire time. I think actually maybe the entire time that I was living at home before I went to college. And then at some point she started teaching at the school that my younger siblings were going to, elementary school. But my mom, six years ago now, had a stroke.
Oh my God.
She had a brain aneurysm. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I find myself stressed all the time. And so the irony is, I know that I need to switch things. I know that I need to change some things. But then the other part of me is like, well, who do you think you are? You already are only working 3 days a week.
Right.
But
why do we do that to ourselves?
Why do we do that to
I
ourselves?
have no idea. Because even like me, I'm thankfully not working. I haven't worked in like over a year because I was pregnant and sick and stuff. And I've been so blessed to be able to stay at home with Callie. And even that sabotage within myself is just like, well, how could you be overwhelmed? Like, how could you be stressed out? You don't even go to work right now. Like, but the thought of even seeking help when I'm at home is just like, girl, you cannot. When it's just like, I need to stop thinking like that.
You do. If you have the resources, I 100 always get it. Always get it. Listen, trust and believe. As soon as I have enough money, I'm getting a maid.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Me too.
I'm going to have some version of a nanny. 100%.
Yeah. And because it helps us, I believe, especially us creatives, that's what we need so that we can still tap into that creative side of ourselves. And then we can hit all the marks of the things that we want, because we want creativity. We want entrepreneurship. We want family. We want, the mom life. We want it all, but it just we need to have the resources in place and not be ashamed to utilize the resources so that we can have it all.
Tell me about the Crafty John. I know this has been a labor of love for you. And it's seen many iterations, platforms. But at its heart, what is the Crafty John?
At its heart, honestly, the Crafty John is my spiritual relationship with God, my personal spiritual relationship with God. And I took that and developed a mobile application initially, where I sent out like spiritual notifications to women, but really it was just God talking to me, and I was taking everything that he was saying to me and just giving it to other women because I needed it. So I figured they needed it too. It was my heart caring about other women and not wanting them to feel mentally how I used to feel. Then it became just like a digital space on Instagram. And now the Crafty John has totally changed. It's not even the Crafty John anymore, because God told me, and it was a hard pill to swallow, because sometimes God be checking me. Not sometimes, he always be checking me. That I personally, Ciara, was hiding behind the Crafty John. I was separating Ciara Rayshall, and I wasn't showing that spiritual side of me publicly, but only in the Crafty John is where the spiritual side showed up. Mm-hmm. So when I got pregnant, I got so sick that I didn't put anything else into the Crafty John, and then God was just like, shut it down. And it was so hard because we were just getting in we had that meeting. We were going to have like a festival. It was, he had downloaded so many ideas into my spirit, and I visually seen things. It's this Grammy award winning musical artist, Joyka.
Yes.
She reached out to me and was like, right. I see what you're doing. I can't wait. I'm happy to be a part of the festival when it happens. Things were rolling for it. And he was bringing me people who can help me and everything. Yeah. And then he was just shut it down because you're still hiding behind this whole Crafty John persona, and you're not letting people know that, no, this is Ciara. So got pregnant, got sick, and then he told me, I coined the phrase Godbae. Yeah. So what's to come of that is it's still, the foundation is still the same. Okay. It's still going to be something digitally that people can, have access to, but he sees something bigger for it, and he wants me to be more in the forefront of it and not hide behind the Crafty John name. So wow. Yeah.
I've always loved your Godbae and your description of your relationship. Where did this come from?
So I went through a really, really bad breakup, and it was like a blind side. It had got so bad, and now looking back, the Ciara I was then, so insecure, so weak-minded, nowhere near the person that I am now. Absolutely nowhere near the person I am now. But that was the point of the Crafty John, because through that breakup, through all of that, that's where I found a real relationship with God. I grew up in the church. My grandmother is the musician, the piano player, the choir director. We had to go to church every Sunday. We couldn't wear pants, all type of craziness. Yeah. Baptist. Then when my mom took us to Holy Ghost churches, it was a bunch of everything. So I knew God, but I didn't know God personally until one day I'm driving in the car, and during this whole breakup season, and mentally, it was like a mind scramble. I was thinking so many horrible things about myself, comparing myself to other women based off of how the relationship broke up, and it was just really bad. And he was a emotional manipulator. So I was deep into the sea of just dysfunction. And I was in the car one day driving, and I was just so consumed, so just desperate and depressed, very depressed, and I wanted to kill myself. So when I had that thought, I just stopped the car, and I was leaning on the steering wheel, and I just was crying out to Jesus, please just help me to not feel this way, because I wanted to do it, but then I just kept thinking about Nyla, I couldn't leave her. But other than that, I'm just I have no desire to be here. I'm not happy with where I'm working. I'm not happy with where my life is. I went to college and then I graduated, but I wasn't doing anything in my field. At this time, I hadn't even wrote my book yet. I was writing poems, but I wasn't confident in my writing. It was just a very, very dark time in my life. Yeah. And I cried out to Jesus, and I just asked him, could he help me? And then that's when back to back, so many things started happening. I got the opportunity to go to New York City to build an app. And I had no experience on what an app was, or I didn't even think, I'm whatever, okay, let's just do it. Let's just go. Went there, and it just developed into that. Yeah. And
to the Crafty John.
To the Crafty John, yeah. And through God saving me studying and looking up scriptures, and me trying to get a closer relationship, I started to work for God through the app. I wasn't even working when I was doing the app. I was working for God, getting up every day, working on the app, designing the app. But it was literally like through my relationship. Okay, let me study. Let me figure out what scripture this is. It was like my journey. And then it developed into that. And then
community.
it just started to grow based off of me chasing after God.
Wow.
And him saving me from all of the craziness. Because I had broke up with the guy, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make God my man then. And God became my man. So Godbae.
I like
that's how
that.
he came about.
I like
And everybody was just like, oh my gosh, like that's such a crazy way to think about God. And it was so different from, what people are used to, because God is so separate,
Yeah.
But I was just
like a patriarchal kind of like all-knowing. Yeah.
But he just kept putting it in my spirit. I remember sometimes I would be like in the shower and I would literally, all the thoughts that I would have about my ex or whatever, I would replace them with God.
That's powerful.
And that's how I would constantly come up out of it. It took a long time. Like it took a very long time for me to detach myself from that relationship, and God is so patient, but that's how it got to where it is now. Like I just kept replacing a man with God every single time.
Wow.
In the shower, doing yoga, me and God be doing yoga together. Yeah. Like when I'm in the bed and I'm lonely, I used to be like, okay, well, God's in the bed with me then. Like I don't have to be lonely. I'll cuddle with him. He'll cuddle with me. And then he would literally like soothe me. And it was just, and you couldn't deny the supernatural feelings that I would have. Like it was, you couldn't make it up. Yeah. You couldn't make it up. And then the downloads that he would give me, some of the things that I would like send out on the notifications, girls would be like texting me like, how did you know I was going through that? And I'm just like, it ain't me, it's God. I don't know. Like,
I'm sure I was one of those girls at one point.
All the time. People were all, and I used to like, it used to trip me out because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like you're really using me in my mess, in my craziness. Like you really like using me.
Now, you talked also a little about how you were writing. You started writing, or maybe you didn't start writing at that time, but you were expressing yourself through poetry and prose. And you wrote a whole book. You wrote a whole book. It's called In All the Ways. Yes. Can people still get it?
Yeah, it's still on Amazon.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll make sure the link is in the show notes. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's emotional. It's so many things.
It's very raw.
It is very raw. And I feel very proud of this. I feel like this is my little blip, my little part in your fame.
You're one of my editors.
Well, that's right. I was. So my name is in the book.
Yeah, it is.
But also,
Congratulations.
Yeah. I wish you all could see. Well, is it okay if I post a picture of her on Instagram? Yes. Okay, great. So you could go see sweet little Callie. But I remember after reading one of the pieces, I said to you, put this on, like I can see this in some wall art in Marshall's or TJ Maxx, and the next thing you know, you had it and people could order it, and I have one. But this is what it says. It says, "This is love. Don't take it lightly or view it blindly. We are written. The stars believe in us."
That's an ode to my writing, my belief in myself.
I love that. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. To keep reminding myself, like, it's already written for you to be who you're supposed to be. Stop tripping. It's art. It's love. Let it flow.
So where is the inspiration from your writing come from, and when did you start writing?
I've been writing since I was a little girl. I'm more of a expressive writer. I have to feel it first in order to write about it. I write about relationships and connections. I write about my children a lot. Whatever man who's ever been in a relationship with me, they will never die because I'm gonna write about you, okay? You'll never die.
We got our Buffalo Taylor Swift over here.
You will never die. Unfortunately, no. It comes from like the depth of me, however I feel. Even if it's like something happening in the world, I have so many poems that I haven't even like published yet because I'm such a freaking perfectionist. and I'm trying my hardest to come out of it, but I personally feel like everything has to have a category and like it has to have some type of like make sense to it. So some of the poems that I have are like about, you know, the experiences of the Black community, and then about love, about my children, but I'm just like, those don't go together. So like I just haven't done anything with them. But it's just basically all from like what I feel, and then that's where it comes from. It started, my mom, I have to give her credit, because when she used to drive me crazy when I was a teenager, she said, she was just like, as long as you don't say it to me, write it down.
That's awesome. And
she bought me a journal, and I used to be cussing her out in my journal and making it rhyme. She was all type of everything. I wonder if she still has some of them. But yeah, my mom sparked my expressive writing, because I would feel so many things. I'm a Taurus. I'm a very emotional person. So I would just always feel. And I just didn't know what to do with it. And sometimes I would just blow up and just be like crazy. And she was like, oh, no. You can't do that. You're a child. Write it down. So I started to write it down.
That is awesome, and I'm going to use that in my own parenting.
Me too.
Right?
Me too.
My 7-year-old definitely has he's very sensitive, he's very empathetic, but my 2-year-old has a lot of emotion, and he has always had a lot of emotion, and it's just manifested in screaming and tantrums, and so it's been a journey because we didn't have this with the first one. And he's obviously a little too young to journal still. Right. But I think this will be a very useful skill for me to be able to help usher him into, it's okay to have these feelings.
Yeah, he can paint.
That's a great idea. He also loves Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe we'll just be like, okay, you seem to be having a hard time today.
Let's give him some Play-Doh.
Let's squish some
He
dough.
Might become a sculptor.
Maybe. And that's because of this conversation here today. So I'll make sure you get a percentage. Before we move off of the book, do you have a favorite piece that you wrote?
I don't have a favorite piece. I do love my my foreword.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love my foreword.
Do you want to read it?
I don't have my foreword with me.
Dang.
Not my foreword, but I have I can look up some of my poems. I'm gonna go on my Pinterest actually, because do you know, like, people literally constantly are like reposting my poems.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yes. And that's I'm like,
amazing. How cool is that?
You love me. You really love me.
Yes, they do. Okay.
I wrote this one about how much God loves me. In the crevices of flaw, I love you. Through the bullet wounds of doubt, I love you there too. Beyond the vision of death, I love you to resurrection. I felt like God, felt that way about me.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
So definitely go get that beautiful book.
In all the ways. And I'm working on another book.
Yes. Okay, that was my next question before we go into rapid fire. What's next for you?
More books.
Okay.
I'm currently writing on Medium now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So make sure you send me that link so we can find you. Yeah.
I'm writing about all things, motherhood, just I guess it's kind of like a lyrical exercise, just to kind of keep myself in the groove of writing and keep my belief up, because life it'll knock you down, especially when you're a mom and you're a wife. You just get so bombarded by everything. Not bombarded, because it's not I don't love it. Right. But it's hard to find room for my creative flow. Yeah. So I'm writing on Medium.
Excellent.
And I'm setting up my office so I can go in the back and look out the window and write, get my Carrie Bradshaw on.
Heck yeah.
And I'm working on another book.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think I'm going to stick with the cute little mini pocket books so people can take them with them. One of my favorite poets, Pablo Neruda, all of his books are so cute and little. So yes, that was kind of my inspiration behind my first book. So I think I'm going to stay in that realm. And the next book is poems and prayers.
All right, now we're going to get into our rapid fire, which, to be clear, if you have a short answer, give a short answer. If you have a long one, give a long one.
Okay.
So there's no rules to these rapid fire questions. I just will continue to call them rapid fire.
Okay.
Number 1, healthy habit you always stick to.
I always drink water. You ever seen one of those water bottles where it says like, it's 12 o'clock, drink some more or whatever? I bought one of like a big one of those for the first time this year. And I felt the difference. I was like, dang, I was not getting enough water. Like, I thought I was getting enough water. I wasn't getting enough water because my energy level was so much better. Like, my mind was so much more clear. Like, I didn't have, like, a foggy, like, mind. It was easier for me to focus. And I was like, I'm a freaking plant. Like, this is crazy. So, drinking water is, like, consistent because I always, like, if I haven't drinking enough water, I'm, like, panicking.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, my God, I'm dehydrated. And I get dehydrated very, very easily.
I don't know when I stopped with my water routine, but at some point it has gone to the wayside, and yeah, I'm feeling it. I feel like there is, I'm going to make some claims right now without any research whatsoever, but we are 70% water, first of all. Yeah. And I think there are so many things that are tied directly to water. I know I've read that stress and anxiety levels are tied to being dehydrated. And okay, next question. Healthy habit you are trying to implement.
Meditating consistently.
Same. We all are. It's so hard. It's so hard. Do you use an app? Do you just try to
I just got a new app, and it was Apple's app of the day, and it's called Balance. And you get it for free for a year because it was Apple's app of the day, and it's pretty cool. Okay. You can do it, like, you can meditate to start for 3 minutes, and 5 minutes, and I tricked myself. I like to take my phone to the bathroom. Okay. So I was like, okay, do not get on Instagram. Yeah. Do not go on Amazon. Pull out the Balance app and just meditate on the toilet.
I mean,
do what you gotta do.
You're sitting there anyway.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
And I'm like, if I don't do it because I'm sitting there anyway, then that's what I'm like getting at myself. Like, see, no self-control. Get it together.
Right. Right. Which is a whole other problem, which we gotta get rid of that. But I like that mom hack. I use Insight Timer, which is free all the time. They'll like pop up and be like, make a donation to support blah blah blah, but it's free. You can find so many free meditations. You can do guided. You can just do like, you could put how long you want to go for, and it'll play some kind of music that you want and do it's great. I love it. And I love it I play sleep stories for Jackson, my 7-year-old, through it. And like, I've really gotten into subliminal music lately.
What's that?
So it's essentially affirmations. It's like listening to affirmations, but they're tucked like under, just below the volume of the music. So you can't actually hear the words. So the idea is they're subliminally just being.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like
people would love that.
Right. It's so great. So I've been listening to like some wealth ones, of course, where I'm just like, it's getting in there.
And I'm wealthy.
That's right. That's right.
I love that.
Nonprofit you love and support.
I love and support Planned Parenthood.
Well, we all need to. Favorite thing that you make?
Like food-wise?
Anything. Food, creativity, people.
I'm not giving the people I make any more of my own.
The way your eyes just bugged out.
Because they get enough of me, okay? The favorite thing I make. That's a really cool question.
Right? Because there's so many things you're making all the time.
I am.
Yeah.
The favorite thing I make is a home. I love making my home.
I almost put interior designer down as your list of things in your intro.
I want to be so bad.
You are. I wish you would come and do mine.
Listen, the only hurdle is the cash, okay? Because if the cash was there,
sing it.
I'll be on freaking Architectural Digest.
Right. That's it. Go to night out drink. If it doesn't have to be alcoholic either.
It's going to be alcoholic because your girl ain't drinking almost 2 years. Sober City.
Oh, my God. Callie.
I'm going to do a Prosecco and Patron.
Oh, she's ready.
With some ice.
She is ready.
And I want my orange slices spiraled with a little bit of lemon juice.
That sounds...
I just made it up.
Wow. I can't wait to have that with you. We are going to choose that as soon as you're ready. You call me up, okay? Podcast you highly recommend.
Podcast I highly recommend. Well, yours now,
Thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
The crazy thing is, I guess it's my brain. I don't remember names of things. I listen to them, but I'm like, I don't remember the name or who it is. But I do like Jasmine Star.
Okay.
She's like a content creative person. I like her podcast.
Okay.
And I just like her in general.
Cool. Jasmine Star. And you mentioned the Influencer podcast. I've listened to her.
Yeah. You know what? Let me look it up on my phone so I'm not saying stuff that's not true. Oh, the 6-Figure Influencer.
The 6-Figure Influencer.
By Allie Reeves.
Allie Reeves. Okay. Favorite mantra or affirmation?
My favorite mantra or affirmation. I am deserving.
Period. You used to do Mantra Mondays.
I did.
I would love those to come back. I'm just going to put a little vote in there, but only if you feel it.
You know what's so crazy, to just double back a little bit? It took me until after Crafty John was on break or whatever, to realize all of the content that I was putting out, I was writing it. But I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't register. It was just I made it in my mind something separate. But God was just you're writing mantras. You're writing prayers. Stop thinking that writing is only in a book or only an article or...
So
no,
true.
You are a writer in a different way in how I made you.
All the music in the world is gone, except for the music from one artist or band. Who would you pick?
That is so hard. Because I like music. I really love music.
I know.
Except for one artist.
Yeah, just one.
I need my soul fed, so it would have to be Maverick City.
Maverick City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're a modern Christian group.
Cool.
I love them.
Cool.
And they have this one song called Mighty One with Todd Delaney. It makes me cry every time.
What is a hobby or interest you have that you think most people wouldn't know about you?
I think
Taking the most beautiful Instagram photos and curating a gorgeous feed. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. I take really good photos.
You do.
I'm a bomb photographer, but because, I'm working through my self-sabotage.
Yeah.
I'm people are going to be why don't she stick to one thing? And she does this and does that. So I don't do it. But I am really good at it.
You're very good at it. Yes. Don't worry. I'll link to
I was
her
thinking
Instagram
about
too.
doing it as my part-time job.
Yeah.
Starting just a little content firm.
Yes, that's
so
right.
I don't have to go back to work.
Well, I'm trying to build up
I got you, girl.
an agency.
I got you, girl.
Favorite place you've ever visited?
My favorite place. I haven't visited a lot of places yet.
So maybe what's your number? No questions asked. You have all the money, resources you need. You got the sitters. You got all the things. Where are you and Keith running away to first?
Thailand.
Nice.
We're going to Thailand.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to go to Thailand since I was a freshman in college. I was going to do the exchange program where you can go and teach English. But Nyla's dad was don't take my baby to Thailand. So I didn't go.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. I filled out the application. I was going to do it. Yeah. I grew up in a family where it's just there's lions and tigers and bears over there. You're going to die. And that got in my head at the time. So I was just But the Ciara now is just this life, I'm going to live it, period.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's just do it.
Yes.
And if I go down, I go down. Happy. I'm going to be happy.
That's
so
right.
Who cares?
That's right. You're not even going to know anyway because you're going to have that Prosecco and Patron in you
Exactly.
and you'll be fine.
And my children are going to believe I'm a legend. And
That's
they're not going
right.
to think, like, my mom never did anything. Like, I don't want that for them.
And then they'll have permission to be able to do those things too. Yeah. Last
Callie
question.
has her passport.
Kelly has her passport.
Callie has her passport.
Stop.
Yes. You should see her passport picture.
I was gonna say, what does that picture look
It's
like?
so cute. She has her hand like this. Kind of just looking like, what is going on? 6 months with the passport.
Where am I going? Amazing. Last question. Will the Bills win the Super Bowl in 2023?
I hope so for my man because whew, when they don't win, he's very sad.
Yeah.
And I don't got time for that. I'm not sorry, everybody, but I'm only a fan because he's a fan, but I don't really watch it. But I get into it for him.
Yeah.
Callie has Bill's slippers. I bought him Bill's slippers. Like,
Amazing.
I would go on and on.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
We
That
all
would
do.
be so awesome for all of the fans. I was just telling Keith, I was just like, when they lost this past game, he was so mad. And I'm like, the game was kind of close. Maybe I don't really get it, but why are you guys so hard on them? Like, relax. It's one game. They're fine.
It's one game, and they annihilated the last two games.
Yes, they were doing so good. But as soon as they mess up, people are like, this is why I don't mess. Like, relax.
Right.
Relax.
Let's calm down.
You'll be back next week. Like,
Right, exactly. We'll try again.
Don't have a freaking conniption. Even the commercials. Every time they show, like, the people when, like, something happens and, like, the faces are so disappointed, I just look at Keith like, dog, really? Like, this is ridiculous. Look at all of this emotion you guys are putting into this. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's why I put that as my last question on here because I'm like, in this city, but I think in all, it's so much more than just a football game. It's an emotional, there's like history involved.
And apparently I'm insensitive about it because when he was like, I'm not feeling too well, I'm going to go just eat dinner upstairs the other day, I like chuckled. I'm like, what? And then he was like, seriously? You just going to laugh at me? I'm just like, my bad. Like,
I didn't realize it was like that.
I didn't realize it was that deep. Like,
Oh my God.
but it is. So, yes, I do hope and I pray. I'm going to put a prayer in the air for the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
Please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Here. Thank you. I know I'm going to have you back.
I hope so.
You absolutely will. And maybe Miss Callie will have some other things to
talking.
say. Yeah, maybe. Maybe she'll be saying, Mama, why are we still here, Mama? Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me today. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review.
All the things.
Follow at Mostly All Figured Out. I'm thinking about reigniting my email list, which I have through my events consulting company. And then, I can send out an email every time we drop one and keep updates on things going on. So, let me know what you think about that if you feel like sharing your thoughts. I love all of your thoughts. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation today. I sure did. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye. This was so awesome.